WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
I can't believe I'm putting my voice to this.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon.
The first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I got to say. I'm a broadcast journalist. I have a right to my opinion.
Oh, son of a...
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary.
There's the sound of the bell, and we are off. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you. Feeling in better spirits after last week. Oh, my goodness. That show was definitely sick and tired of being sick and tired, as I had mentioned last week. Definitely feeling better. We'll talk a whole bunch of experiences, of course, over the course of today. We'll go over the results of TNA Slammiversary. A pretty good amount of TNA news, actually, including... I'll get this right off the bat before I even get into Slammiversary. There's a possibility that the six-sided ring could return to TNA. That's right, TNA holding a fan vote to determine whether to keep the four-sided ring or to bring back the six-sided ring, and it appears that the winning ring will be used at the tapings held in New York City later this week, the Impact tapings. Now, some wrestlers, they gave their opinions about the possible return of the six-sided ring, and wasn't exactly favorable. Ethan Carter III, for example, tweeted, "This is why democracy doesn't work. You people should not have a voice when it comes to my well-being and safety." He's got a little bit of a point. Austin Aries was considerably more vocal, tweeting, "So the people who don't wrestle are letting people who don't wrestle decide what I have to wrestle in? Great idea. My body, my vote. What's wrong with wrestling? Letting people who have never done it and never put their bodies on the line run the show. For those curious, I find six-sided rings to be far less forgiving on the body and harder to maneuver around, especially on the top rope." So I kind of threw it out there to earlier this week once I got wind of the news, and threw it out to the Facebook fan page, of course, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. And the reactions were rather entertaining, to say the least. One person suggesting just put them both together and make a 10-sided ring. Yeah, that I thought was... Yeah, obviously they were kind of... they were just having fun with it. Yeah, we'll get into that reaction a little... Yeah.
A 10-sided ring.
Yeah, 10-sided ring. Somebody else said just kind of split the difference and make a 5-sided ring, like a pentagon, I guess. Something along those lines.
Nothing is sacred anymore.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, it's great that TNA is kind of throwing...
10 ways to look at it. Sorry.
I see what you did there. Nick Cataldi, of course.
Yay.
Pushing the buttons, turning the dials, keeping us on the air here. Robert just posting in fresh here on the Facebook fan page. Regarding the TNA ring issue, why even bother? TNA is headed for the dustbin of history. Ouch. But yeah, I threw it out there. I said, switch back to the six-sided ring, stay with four sides, or does it not matter how many sides their ring has, as their days are numbered anyway? Harry Barnett from over in England. I'm sorry, backtrack a minute. TN who? Of course, referring to the minimal ratings that TNA has been getting as the far distant second promotion in the United States. Extreme Kyle, CZW has a more loyal fan base than TNA. Hell, Chikara probably pulls more people at a show. I don't know, since I haven't been to either of those, and you being there in South Philly, I'm sure you've got more of a handle on that, Extreme Kyle. Let's see. Steve would rather see them go back to a six-sided ring. It doesn't matter what the ring shape is as long as you... Oh, Eric. Somebody threw in it, as long as you smell what the Rock is cooking, because, it doesn't matter. That's what he was going for there. Yeah, Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Let's just combine the 4- and 6-sided rings for a 10-sided ring. John from Northeast Philly making, I guess this is some sort of a geometrical joke. 6 sides, 1 angle. Maybe he's making a Kurt Angle joke there as well. I don't know. Joseph Anthony, so their product is lackluster, to make it edited for radio quality, and they concern themselves with what type of ring to use. Yeah, much better than voting on little things like how to improve this crap that gets on television weekly. Fair point, Joseph. Dan from Chicago, 0-sided ring could work even better. Oh, gosh. And Harry Barnett chiming in again from England. Why not just make it a circle? Because then it'd be like Scholastic Wrestling. I mean, why not just, put the headgear back on him a la Rick Steiner and just go to town? I don't know. Needless to say, yes, reaction abound to the and I guess you can vote on TNA's website, and that'll, I guess, go through probably this weekend, and then they'll make the decision what to ship up to New York, whether it's the traditional 4-sided ring that they've been using since 2010 when Hulk Hogan came in, or go to these 6 sides that they've had since 2002 in their inception all the way up until 2010. I don't know. The 6-sided ring was a nice novelty, I guess, but I don't know. How much does it really add in the long run of things? I don't know. Not really sure. Ron from Morrisville chiming in. I'm for the 6-sided ring. It shows hardcore. Also, why doesn't WWE consider it? Well, one, Vince doesn't like using things that he hasn't created. That's why we haven't seen, I know people have been asking, why don't we see the War Games match in WWE? They don't want to use a format where they have 2 rings in one building. WCW did that again to try to, I guess, garner attention, garner ratings, do something different. But WWE also has to realize, or realizes that if you put a second ring in the arena, you have to take seats out of the ringside area to do that. So for one gimmick match, you're cutting into revenue of that particular night's draw of attendance, because you're going to have fewer seats in the arena because you have this extra ring. So that in part is why WWE doesn't do it. And just, again, going back to the example, Vince doesn't like using things that aren't his. The 6-sided ring was created by TNA, so therefore he already considers that it's inferior because he didn't come up with it. As has seen with many a gimmick, many a wrestler, many a match concept over the years. If Vince didn't create it, he's not going to readily sign off on it. That's why we have the Elimination Chamber as opposed to War Games, for example, because that's something that Vince came up with. I don't know. Hopefully that kind of answers things. And also, not in attendance with us is Lucas, the intern. He, I guess, after doing 2 shows with a cold last week, felt he should get some R&R and is at an undisclosed beach somewhere. Enjoying some much-needed R&R, I guess.
In Croydon?
I don't believe it's in Croydon, but I do not know for certain exactly where it is. I just know he'll be gone this weekend. Next week he'll be gone.
2 weeks in Croydon?
No, not in Croydon.
Oh, okay.
No, one of those Jersey Shore beaches, I believe. But I'm not privy to which one.
Never heard any of them.
I'm not too familiar with them.
I know about Croydon. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not too far from Trenton and Hamilton and all that other. Where are you going with this Croydon thing? Just curious.
I don't know. Croydon, I'm not going anywhere. It's already there, actually.
It's already there.
It's between Bristol and Ben Salem on Route 13, and it's Croydon, Pennsylvania.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And there's water there, too. That's why I thought maybe he went to the beach.
I don't know if you'd want to... No, never mind.
Well, it wasn't really a sandy beach, but, Anyway.
Oh, goodness. Why don't we go to the Slammiversary results? Oh, mercy. Yes, for those who missed it, and I'm sure there's a lot of you, here's what happened this past Sunday. Sonata retaining the X Division title, beating Manic, Tigre Uno, Crazy Steve, Eddie Edwards, and Davey Richards in that 6-way ladder match. Bobby Lashley pinning Samoa Joe to earn a spot in the TNA title match later in the night. We'll tell you more about the TNA title coming up. Magnus beating Willow in just under 10 minutes, much to the dismay of Lucas. the newest members of the TNA Hall of Fame. A little bit of a curveball that I don't think a lot of people expected, but they're kind of going, all right, I can see that. Team 3D. Brother Ray and Brother Devon, or now Bully Ray as he's known, formerly known as the Dudley Boys in ECW, WCW, and the WWF.
Is that what you mean by stop bullying?
Yes, there's a whole irony to that. The WWE for a while have gone on this anti-bullying kick, yet they have, yet the other organization.
But they make their money from guys who bully each other. It's kind of funny and so.
Yeah, that's why they've shied away from
it's all done in the name of sport. There's a difference,
Yeah, they've shied away from the "Be a Star" campaign.
Well, we have that around here, but go ahead.
Yeah. Austin Aries pinning Kenny King to also get in the TNA title match. So later in the night, it'd be Eric Young defending against Austin Aries and Bobby Lashley in a three-way cage match. An appearance by the Von Erichs. Ross and Marshall Von Erich beating DJ Z and Jesse of the Bromans. But by disqualification, Jesse hit the Von Erichs with a chair, and Kevin Von Erich came in, hit the
that's cheating.
Famous claw to even up the odds, and of course get a huge pop from the Texas crowd, because that's where the Von Erichs were known over the years, down in the Sportatorium in Dallas. Whole world-class championship wrestling thing back in the day. Angelina Love retaining the TNA Knockouts title, beating Gail Kim. EC3, what some would say is an upset over Bully Ray in a Texas death match. Mr. Anderson pinning James Storm, and Eric Young retaining the TNA title, beating Austin Aries and Bobby Lashley in that three-way cage match, though he wouldn't hold on to it for the rest of the week. We have a new champion as of Impact, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. A bunch to talk about. I have to mention, of course, the crazy Saturday that was last week, Wrestling with Disaster. I've got my review of the event coming up, and a great deal of memories. It was a lot of fun, even though I had practically no voice by the end of it. It was certainly notable, as was prior to that, meeting Val Venis over at George's Cards and Collectibles. He's got a new venture that I'll see if I can bring up over the air. I'll check with Nick during the break to see if it's okay to discuss, or if I should just move on. And, well, we'll probably discuss it on Completely Damaged Radio this Monday, so make sure to check that out Monday at 11. That one isn't my show. That's RC's, so as his co-host, I can kind of get away with a little bit more than I could here at WBCB. So that's where I tend to be a little more off the cuff. Not as off the cuff as Harry Barnett's What's Wrong with Wrestling, which Lucas and I also did a guest spot on last Sunday. That was more of a podcast, so if you want to check that out, I believe Harry posted it up on the WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page. Just be careful, the language is a bit more coarse than what you're used to here on WBCB.
I think the problem with wrestling is that people don't think it's real.
Yeah, that's...
I've always thought that it's real, and people don't want to admit to it. That's my issue. I know things.
Yeah, I'd like to think I know some things. So, yeah, we'll talk Wrestling with Disaster coming up. George's Cards and Collectibles, they've got a couple more of appearances that we'll talk about as well. Monster Factory, they're in action tonight. We'll go over that as well, and just some various other news and notes. A member of the WWE creative team fired. The possibility of wrestler roasts in WWE's future. We'll get into that, and giving some options to the fans as far as some choices of programming coming up. Kind of kick those around, get your take on those, and also we've got an update on the Money in the Bank lineup. There will now be 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches at the pay-per-view coming up a week from tomorrow. And also we'll get to Ed from the Northeast right on the other side. Let's go ahead and take care of some business. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Will you quit trying to distract me with things? We have a show to do here. We're on the air. This is live.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
I feel like crap already.
What a difference a week makes. I actually have a voice back. It's a good thing. So is this, which is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, alongside Nick Cataldi,
Yay.
pushing the buttons, turning the dials, keeping us on the air, answering phones, doing all kinds of awesome things. As we don't have,
you give me too much credit, but that's okay.
well, we don't have Lucas the intern here to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
No,
That's right.
not Sean Mooney. No, Lucas the intern.
He's in Croydon. I'm sorry, I forgot. I keep forgetting.
Yes, the wonderful Croydon Beach.
Yeah, right.
A very legendary hot spot.
I'd rather be in Croydon right now, but after the show, I mean.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right. After the show.
That's a good plan. All right, let's go ahead and get to let's get to Ed, who's been hanging on. Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
How are you feeling after last week?
Oh, wow. Well, I'll get into that in a little bit. The whole Wrestling with Disaster experience, my first time ever at the world-famous ECW arena, even though it's now known as the 2300 Arena. I'll go into that in more detail coming up. But what's on your mind?
We have Impact next week in Manhattan Center, June 25th to the 27th, and then in Lakewood, the 29th, at First Energy Park.
Yeah, they'll be kind of nearby. I mean, you got to go up to New York City for they're doing TV tapings this coming. I think the 25th through the 27th is this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And
I think they're back in New York. And I think the tickets are already on sale for the next time they come.
Well, I guess they're planning on keeping this going for quite a while.
They should bring in the Philly soon.
Yeah, I know the last time they were here, it was interesting. At least the last time I recall going to it, they were at the Tower Theater, which, if you've ever been to the Tower Theater, it's like a traditional stage theater. So the ring itself was actually on stage, as opposed to kind of a theater in the round setup where you have an entranceway in the middle and you have the crowd surrounding it. The crowd was in the audience and the ring was on stage.
Yeah.
And it was different. It was I guess unique in that regard. So I don't know if they'd come back to that venue or if they'd do the Leocourse Center again.
Or the 2300.
Could be a possibility. I know they've been having some ties recently with Tommy Dreamer and some cross promotion with House of Hardcore, so that could be a possibility if they wanted to go that route.
It looks big enough now inside.
Yeah, see, I wasn't there when it was, I guess, in its heyday, so I don't know whatever changes they've made over the years, and they're still working on making. It's I'm not really sure. I don't know what the difference was as opposed to is, whether it's number of seats that are available. I mean, I just know it's a nice venue now. I don't know what it was before.
The WWE's in town.
Yeah, they'll be in Philadelphia tomorrow.
And, in New York, July 12th, and Wildwood in July 13th.
Okay, yeah, that's right. They're up at the Garden on July 12th. That's right. I think I saw.
Do you know anything about Brandon Alexander from the WWA being injured?
I've heard nothing about it. I haven't gotten any word from Dino Santa or any of the folks over at WWA about that.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a special announcement next month.
Sure.
The local scene.
Yes, that's what you bring to the table, and it's always appreciated. Thanks so much for the call, Ed. The look at the local scene. Now, hopefully next week we'll be also talking about the long-standing rumor, hopefully coming true, that following WWE's appearance in Philadelphia tomorrow, that their next appearance may be in late January for a rather notable pay-per-view. That's the rumor that's been going around. WWE was looking into it. It's kind of hushed since then, but I figure if there was any time for them to announce, it would be when they're in Philly saying, hey, our next upcoming appearance, January 25th, 2015, Royal Rumble 2015. Since you're in the arena, get your tickets ahead of time. And if that's the case, I have a feeling I'll be getting a lot of phone calls in a very short period of time. Just calling it a hunch. I don't know. But we'll see about that.
Want me to call you?
I don't know. Do you want to go to the Royal Rumble?
All right. I can't win, though.
No, yeah. You can't participate in the Royal Rumble match itself. Although that would be a surprise. Nick Cataldi being one of the 30 entrants. You hear the clock count down from 10 to 1, and all of a sudden...
I get my clock counted down all right.
Well, that's getting your clock cleaned when you get into the ring.
I was improvising on that a little bit. Yeah. See?
More like countdown to elimination.
Well, something like that.
Yeah, there are a number of ways you can go with it.
Right.
I'm helping you along.
Right. We got a 10-sided ring. I can improvise,
Well, the WWE is only a 4-sided ring, so.
Just saying, if so facto.
The squared circle, as it's so eloquently.
That always annoyed me, that term.
The term, the squared circle?
Yes. It just, well, it's an oxymoron, of sorts. There was actually many, many moons ago, it didn't last very long, but it was a boxing match in an actual ring, a round ring. But I couldn't even tell you who it was. It was anybody important, but it just didn't last real long.
It was a circular ring.
Right. Ring-shaped. But it didn't last long.
I wonder how they would have worked the ropes on that.
You know what? I never got that far with it. I just looked at the whole thing, and it was an old picture. It had to be in the 30s or the 40s. Maybe even earlier, who knows. It just didn't look too good, But the squared circle, I don't know. I don't know.
Doesn't do anything for you?
No. They should change it because I think so.
Well,
I guess for lack of a better term, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean they've referred to it as the ring now.
Yeah, the ring. I guess, being of old, I shouldn't say I'm old-fashioned. I just try to improvise on something else, right? Mm-hmm. But no, all kidding aside, I guess for lack of a better term, the squared circle wasn't the worst thing in the world. It just sounds weird.
Well, I think it's one of those terms that Vince has tried to phase out because it's too wrestling oriented. He doesn't want to. Wrestling has become a bad word to him. Well,
it's become a bad word to him.
Oh yeah, he's
made a small fortune off of it.
Oh, I know, but that doesn't mean that he likes it.
Oh boy.
That's why over the years, they're no longer wrestlers; they're sports entertainers. They're not women's wrestlers; they're divas. They're superstars.
Yeah, that's true. The diva thing is, brother.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. They've to further backscale it. They recently, even though we know since they've changed it over in 2002, WWE stood for World Wrestling Entertainment, but a couple of years ago, they just shortened it to WWE.
Right.
Just to not have to mention the word wrestling. Try to mention the word wrestling even less than they already are.
And I guess I see the point because there has been less wrestling and a little more yelling and screaming and drama as time went by also.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call it entertainment.
Well, I guess anything you watch is entertaining. Can be entertainment. Anything.
Well, I don't know. The bit with projectile vomiting this past Monday on Raw, do you think...
do I like it? Not necessarily, but it's like...
I think the only person who liked it was Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I'm sure a lot of people like to see people puke.
That's... Vince McMahon loves puke humor. He loves poop humor. Anytime he can get that sophomoric stuff in there that he and maybe a few 5- and 6-year-olds can laugh at.
And he was such a good guy back in the 70s, such a clean liver and,
they even worked it into the movie No Holds Barred back in '89. Where Hogan jumps out of the limo, he almost doing a Vince McMahon-esque impression, goes, "What's that smell?" And I think he says something like Dookie or some sophomoric term. Yeah.
What's the movie again? No Holds
Barred.
Check it one out.
Yeah, that was Hogan's second attempt into acting after the success of Rocky III. Well,
he really
didn't
do any real acting in Rocky III. He played a part that he's familiar with, sort of. Thunder Lips.
Yeah.
Which I thought he played very well. In fact, I got to admit, I enjoyed that.
That's where his wave of popularity rose.
Interesting, because after a while he would stroll into the ring with the Eye of the Tiger, which
as his entrance theme,
which did not even apply to that character or anything. But
people associated with him and with Rocky III and put it all together.
Right, sure.
And I mean, he knew
whatever works, I guess, right?
Well, he knew it was going to be a marketable thing. That's why when he worked for Vince Sr.'s WWF,
right,
he nixed it. He said, my wrestlers aren't going to be in any movie or anything like that. So he went over to Vern Gagne's AWA in Minnesota, and Vern was like, "Yeah, go for it," and that just built his popularity up even more. And then following Vince Sr.'s passing, Vince Jr. said, "Hey, Hulkster, you want to come on back?"
It works.
Yeah, right. And Hulkamania was born, brother.
Right. No, I did enjoy that segment of the movie. When he picked Rocky up by the throat, I was like, "Oh my God!" It was scary. You think it's fake? You hear him saying that, and then afterwards he goes, "Why so rough?" Because that's the way the game is played. I was, "Oh, brother." That was that was kind of a forgotten quote.
Yeah, that's
or something. That's the name of the game. I don't know, something like that. He said. I don't know if I had it verbatim.
Yeah, that's all right. The general gist is understood. But
it's
yes,
kind of one of those quotes that I think should have been, down the lexicon of American, quotes, you might say. But it didn't quite make it.
No,
I liked it though.
Nor did the rest of Hogan's acting career.
Well, no.
I mean, he went from No Holds Barred to what else was there? Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, and then it just. In the mid-'90s, it was just picking up whatever paycheck possible. Santa with Muscles, Three Ninjas, High Noon, and Mega Mountain.
Now, wrestlers, now there was one who had a fairly active career in acting, and that was Professor Tanaka, Professor Toru Tanaka.
Ah, yes.
He had a lot of bit roles. Never a starring role that I know of, but he did work pretty steady in the business. And of course, most of what he did was very stereotypical. Bodyguards,
yeah,
exactly. But still in all, he did work.
Well, look at John Cena now. He's always playing either a member of the military or like a cop.
Right.
So I mean, you want to talk typecasting?
Right.
He looks. He couldn't look any more of, I guess, a stereotypical member of the military.
Right. No, it's a good point.
Just because I wasn't sure if I could use the other term.
Yeep.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
yes. Moving
right along.
How was I going with this? How did we get into this acting tangent?
I don't know. I don't know. But go ahead.
Hogan, No Holds Barred. I'm trying to backtrack as we go along here. Yeah.
Professor Toru Tanaka, excuse me.
Yeah, I just went completely off on a tangent and I just went off the rails and have no idea how the heck to get back.
I'm sorry. Is that my fault?
In part. I don't know. I need to write down, okay, what the hell point were you trying to make before...
Well, assigning blame...
Oh, there we go. It was the whole projectile vomit thing with...
I'd rather talk about acting than vomit.
That's right.
Does he really like that?
He does. He laughs like a 5-year-old over that stuff. It's the most hysterical thing to him.
I don't know.
Just constantly. I mean, maybe there we go. Maybe that's something that I can do for next week. A retrospective on various vomiting moments in WWE history, and there are quite a few of them.
I better find me a replacement because I really don't want to.
You really don't want to. You don't want to get into that.
Not at all. I just. That's one thing I just can't see any humor in.
I don't either, but Vince loves it, and he goes to that well often. He goes to it very often. It's.
I guess I'm in recovery, drug and alcohol recovery, and many moons ago, besides me, I watched a lot of people puke their guts up, and I just never even. No matter how much fun.
So it still gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Well, no matter how much fun we were having, as soon as somebody started puking, that sort of ruined everything. At least temporarily,
Yeah.
No one laughed. Hey, Nick, hey, Bill, there was nobody. I can't.
It wasn't funny in that regard.
I can tell you one funny story, but I don't know if it would even fit into the show, so let's not worry about it.
There we go. What I will fit into the show is talking briefly about it with Ed, who chimed in there. But Wrestling with Disaster, the final cut, the experience down at the ECW arena last week. To say the least, I mean, I felt like I was in sacred ground just walking into the building. And there was the meet and greet beforehand. Got the chance to meet and chat a little bit with Sabu, the franchise Shane Douglas, the Barbarian, the Warlord, Superfly Jimmy Snuka was in attendance. A lot of former ECW guys. A lot of the Samoans, Samu and I believe Afa were there. I know the Anoa'i family tree just has so many branches. It's hard to keep them all together. At least as far as knowing all of them. Little Guido from the FBI was there. Just
I'm offended.
The Baldies.
I'm offended.
That was his wrestler name.
I'm just kidding.
Had him here on the show.
I have a cat named Guido. I'm just kidding around. I'm playing the part.
I tried going politically correct and initially I think saying Nunzio, and I got corrected. So it's like no, in this building he's Little Guido. No, so
I don't care. I find such things hysterical, actually.
Well, wrestling is based on stereotypes. It always has been,
always
and
right.
probably always will be.
Right.
But the one of the highlights for me, the Hardcore Hall of Fame inductions. Shane Douglas, the franchise, getting inducted, as were the Pitbulls, Gary Wolf, who was on this program a few months ago, as well as his late tag team partner, Pitbull 2, Anthony Durante. Too Cold Scorpio. Very underrated wrestler for his career, and he can still go really well. He's closing in on 50, and he still goes to the top rope, still does a good amount of the high flying stuff. And the Blue Meanie, who's just a South Philly born in of the Blue World Order. So
weren't they in the Yellow Submarine, Blue Meanies or something, the Meanies or something? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. A little beyond my Beatle knowledge.
Actually, Yellow Submarine wasn't a very good movie, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it was so-so.
But yeah, the aura of being in the ECW arena, some of the old chants, including early on in the show, a very loud "you effed up" chant. Obviously, again, edited for radio.
I could have hit the delay.
Yeah, but then you'd be skipping ahead 9.5 seconds.
Something like that.
Why do that? Something that's been kind of a growing thing. I think I need to start carrying an apple with me to various wrestling events, a la Carlito, because Angel of DeBaldi's, every time we cross paths, either in the meet and greet or backstage afterward, he would deliver Carlito's catchphrase of, "I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool."
Whatever that is.
Carlito wrestled back in the mid-2000s, and he had an apple with him, and apparently I look a lot like him with the frizzled afro hair. Only I've got a bit darker of a tan than he does.
Well, I was thinking that myself, but I didn't want to say that.
That's fine. I found a way to eloquently get around it.
Yeah.
And something that's kind of underrated, hearing... for the ECW wrestlers, hearing their ECW actual entrance themes as opposed to dubbed over stuff by WWE because they don't want to pay the music royalties. So for me, hearing Deep Purple's "Perfect Strangers," for example, followed by when Shane Douglas came out, his "Cut the Bleeping Music," I don't know, it's just one of those fun moments that and I think Lucas and I were the only two in the building to have a mark-out moment when we heard the words, "Well, well, well." Yes, Joel Gertner was in the house. Mm-hmm. The quintessential stud muffin himself, Joel. I'd repeat his dirty limericks here on WBCB, but that would clearly be the end of Pro Wrestling Weekly for me.
Once was a man from Nantucket.
It's something like that.
Right?
His claims for getting women have been crucial to his brand, and his rapidly growing number exceeds a couple grand. Gertner.
Gertner?
Joel Gertner.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. For a second, I drew a blank. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. If you don't know his whole bit, it's kind of hard to explain right in the middle of it. Actually, we're probably up for a break. So
getting close, yes.
Yeah, getting close. So we'll do that, and I'll explain some more of Joel Gertner-isms.
Gertner.
Yes, on during the timeout. I'm sure you can look them up either on WWE Network or something of that nature. But we'll come back. Still got to talk Monster Factory, George's Cards and Collectibles, the updated Money in the Bank lineup. A bunch still to do. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, June 21. On this date in 1993, WWF Monday Night Raw aired live from Poughkeepsie, New York. In the main event, Razor Ramon fought the 1-2-3 Kid to a no contest. On this date in 1999, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from New Orleans, Louisiana. In the main event, Sting fought Randy Savage to a no contest. On this date in 2009, TNA held its Slammiversary pay-per-view. In the main event, Kurt Angle defeated Mick Foley, Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, and Samoa Joe in a King of the Mountain match to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, June 21.
This is Jim the Anvil Neidhart of the Hart Foundation, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry on 1490 WBCB, baby. Yeah!
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Thank you to Jim the Anvil Neidhart for that. And a little note from, little extended note from Today in Wrestling History. The Razor Ramon 1-2-3 Kid feud that was going on 21 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that match, the reason it ended in a no contest, leading up to it, it was about 5 weeks earlier that, as he was known then, the Kid had upset Razor Ramon and pinned him. And for the upcoming few weeks, Razor Ramon was calling for a rematch and even offering up. Initially, the first week, it was $2,500 of his own money. Then the Kid declined. So Razor upped it to $5,000. Then the following week, $7,500. The week after that, $10,000, and the Kid finally accepted. And so they wrestled for about 5 minutes, and the Kid slid out of the ring, took the bag that was at ringside that had the $10,000 in it, ran up the aisleway out to a car that was waiting, and drove off with the $10,000.
He's my hero. That's the way I'd have done it.
Good old Sean Waltman.
That's the way I'd have done it. Hey, why get beat up for $10,000 if I don't have to? You know?
Yeah, well, I mean,
of course you can't.
The $10,000 was offered to fight in the match, and he competed in the match. Granted, it ended in a no
contest. Coming back to work might be difficult Monday morning, but you know.
Well, that's why it was Monday night. It was on Monday Night Raw.
But then you come back and you go, hey, boss, I know I stole the money, but you know.
Well, no, he didn't steal it though. It was offered to him to compete, so he fulfilled his obligation. So at that point, that money's his.
You play semantics games, don't you? Well, I see why you do this show.
I just call it like I see it. That's what I do as a broadcast journalist.
Oh, boy. My God.
I do it well.
I changed my mind. You are my new idol. Oh, boy, that was good. You're a real weasel, man. I love it.
I'm no Bobby the Brain Heenan.
What a snake he is, folks.
Nor am I a Jake Roberts.
I'm really impressed.
All right, let me tell you about some things coming up here. We got about 10 minutes left. George's Cards and Collectibles. I did get the okay on this after meeting Val Venis last week. Apparently, his new venture. He's out in Tempe, Arizona. Yeah, they're nowhere close to each other. He's in Tempe, Arizona, not too far from, I think, Arizona State University, and he's got kind of an accoutrement, I guess, or an accompanying business related to those who are involved in medicinal marijuana. In fact, he's even renamed himself Captain Cannabis, both with a K. So, and the thing that got me, I was cracking up over this, but apparently one of the things that they do in this facility is ganja yoga.
Who?
It pretty much is what it sounds like. But, you know,
I know him. He owns that store down the street. Ganja Yoga. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. Right.
No.
They got the deli down the street.
No, it's where they partake in their medicinal marijuana and then proceed to do yoga afterward.
Yeah, well, I guess what I want to do when I smoke a joint, start twisting my body around, Hello.
Well, to be fair, the building does sell various munchie items after the fact.
Now,
So.
that I go for. It's the exercising bit or twirling my body around. I don't care to do. Put my leg behind my head and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but Val talked about it at pretty good length. He actually gave a little advertising flyer for the place, so I figured I'd give it a mention. And of course, I didn't think to bring it with me, but
well, for the record, I don't smoke marijuana.
Exactly.
I haven't smoked marijuana.
It's in Arizona, so it's not
37
like,
years.
I don't think that's the sandy area that Lucas went to. I shouldn't even start alleged allegations like that. That's wrong of me. But George's Cards and Collectibles, they're showing no signs of slowing down. Coming up in a few weeks from now, former WWE manager, referee, and general manager Teddy Long will be at the George's in Oxford Valley Mall Saturday, July 12th from noon to 3. Also the following week, Saturday, July 19th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Funkasaurus, Brodus Clay, just recently released from WWE, were both of those guys. They'll be at George's in the Oxford Valley Mall. Check out George's 3 locations for all your sports and wrestling memorabilia needs. Their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, in the Oxford Valley Mall in the Sears Court in the lower level, and their newest location in Chamonix Mall in the movie theater wing. For more information on the
There's
upcoming...
still a movie theater there?
There is, yeah, the AMC 24, yeah.
Wow. Nobody else seems to have them anymore. I went by the Quaker Bridge Mall. Their movie theater's been gone for years, and
yeah, no, theirs is still going pretty good.
Right, Oxford Valley has one outside.
Yeah, right outside the mall. But no, this one's still connected to the mall.
Of course, they never had one inside Oxford Valley, but that's okay. No, not to my knowledge.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so all right. That's okay. I'm just curious.
For more info on the upcoming Teddy Long and Brodus Clay appearances, give George's a call at 215-943-2475 or visit them on the web at georgescollectibles.com. Good stuff.
All right.
All right, well, I mentioned earlier WWE creative team member fired. WWE fired head writer Jay Gibson over last weekend, according to PWTorch.com.
So you want to puke?
Well, thus, I think the filter was kind of taken away that Vince could greenlight his own vomit joke, and that's what we got on Raw this past Monday. Fantastic. Wrestler roasts in WWE's future? It's a possibility. WWE issued a survey to fans asking about a variety of potential DVD releases, and the fans were asked to give their thoughts on various titles such as a Daniel Bryan match compilation. Wonder if yes, yes, yes was the overwhelming result of that. ECW Unreleased Volume 3. A Ric Flair roast. That would be kind of interesting, actually.
A roast?
A roast. A Warrior documentary.
Roast a wrestler. It just isn't... I don't know.
Well, there was at least a little bit of that, and I'll get into that in a minute once I go through the list here. Warrior documentary, JBL match compilation, Cesaro match compilation, which I think is a little early for, unless they're including his stuff in the independents. Rick Rude's greatest matches. I'd be up for that because maybe it'll put him closer in line to a posthumous Hall of Fame induction. Who knows? A John Cena roast. Yeah. Chris Jericho roast. A Hulk Hogan roast.
Now that I could see, because he's so much in the public. He's more in the public eye than most wrestlers.
And
over the years,
and that's kind of where I was leading to.
Right.
Steve Austin roast, the best of the United States title, and or the very best of Nitro Volume 3 from WCW. Now, I don't know if roasts in wrestling could necessarily work like you said.
Right.
Hogan is one of the few, and he actually was involved in a pretty notable roast a few years back. The roast, the Comedy Central roast of David Hasselhoff. He was on the dais. He and like Pam Anderson.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
So there were a few. I think this was right around the time of his divorce too. So there were quite a few jabs thrown at him.
How about his singing career, David Hasselhoff? Man.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. But I meant Hogan's divorce.
Oh,
so
I'm
Hogan
sorry.
got some. That's where I meant as far as like the roasting and whatnot. And between that and since then the sex tape that he was involved in. So I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of roast material.
I find that so hard to believe. Oh, that a 6'8", 290-pound muscle man would be involved in a sex tape. Shucks.
Yeah, I know. I got nothing on it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A copy, huh?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, folks, look at this.
Yeah, take a look at this python, brother.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no. Going to get letters. All right. I'm going to get out of here and get some semblance of sleep because I'll be at Monster Factory Pro Wrestling tonight. That's right, and you can too. Come on, see the future wrestling stars tonight at the world-famous Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Tickets just $20, only $10 for kids 12 and under. Doors open at 6 o'clock, and the action starts at 7. Making their return to the training grounds of the Monster Factory tonight, former WWF Tag Champions, Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. They'll be facing the factory's finest, Mike Spanos and Clutch Adams. Speaking of tag teams, the Monster Factory Tag Team Champions Mark Cruz and Shuffle and Shaheem Ali, better known as AC Rock, will defend their titles against the team of Major McClendon and War with Claudia at ringside. McClendon will be doing double duty as not only will he be challenging for the tag titles, but he will be defending his Supersonic Championship against his former tag team partner, the Pride of Paulsboro, Anthony Bennett, in a Prisoner of War match. Also, former WWE and Ring of Honor star Mike Mondo will face the Benchmark Bill Daly, and Brutal Joe Gibson will defend his Monster Factory heavyweight title against #1 contender Luis the Punisher Martinez. All this and much more for only $20. Monster Factory Pro Wrestling, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Again, action starts at 7, doors open at 6. Check it out. You can check them out at monsterfactory.org. Just look for the guy who looks like Carlito. You'll obviously see me there. Now that is cool. Money in the Bank lineup. Got a chance to talk about it. They better put together quite a few matches as the pay-per-view is a week from tomorrow, and only 3 matches determined so far. And only one of them, or well, 2 of them, have the competitors all set. First, there's the WWE tag titles. The Usos defending against Eric Rowan and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family. And then you've got not 1, but 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches. First, the one we know about for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship, since Daniel Bryan's injury has caused him to be stripped of the title. 7 men competing to be the new champion: Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Sheamus, and now added this week, Roman Reigns, who won the Battle Royal this past Monday on Raw to qualify and enter, and John Cena, who beat Kane in a stretcher match to qualify. So John Cena, Sheamus, Cesaro, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio. Well, thankfully my prediction's certain to go wrong. It'll be next week, so I'll have time to mull it over. And there will be a second Money in the Bank ladder match. This one for the briefcase, the contract in the briefcase. And so far, the only competitor announced, the recently turned heel Seth Rollins. The others will be determined and announced this coming Monday on Raw. So there it is so far. That's all they got. So I'm sure they'll have a Divas match in there. Probably Bad News Barrett will defend the Intercontinental title against somebody.
Where's Kelly at?
She was let go from WWE a little bit ago.
I know that. Where's she at?
She makes appearances here and there.
Good.
I'm sure if there's one around the area, I'll let you, and I'm sure Lucas will definitely want to know as well.
No, I ain't beating my time with her. You got to be kidding me. Oops.
He'll probably challenge you for it. You know what? Got just enough time. Wrestler birthdays? Well, there aren't any. So the only birthdays I could find of note, comedian Joe Flaherty of SCTV fame and more recently as the heckling fan in Happy Gilmore. Yeah, jackass. Turned 73 today.
He's funny.
He is.
I like him.
He's a good guy. And then going across the pond, Prince William, Duke of Cambridge. Second in line to become the King of England, turns 32 today.
Oh, the Duke of Earl.
No, that was a song back in the early 60s.
No.
#1 hit, in fact.
Go on, really?
I should know. I do the chart toppers on Saturday morning.
I had no idea.
Well, usually you're sleeping at that point.
Yeah, that's what it is. See, that's why I don't know things.
Yeah, because you work Friday night and you're back here Saturday afternoon.
I would not have known Gene Chandler. I mean, somebody sang that song.
Of course not. Right. All right, Nick Cataldi's got country music next. I'll be back next week with a Money in the Bank preview. And who knows what other hysteria and hilarity and tomfoolery and hijinks and whatever else.
What show is that?
Yeah, I know, not this one. This show, however, is Pro Wrestling Weekly, and it's here on 1490 WBCB, and it's online at WBCB1490.com.
1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.